इंग्लिश में ही होगा तो क्योंकि ड्यूटीज कम है तो
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी यमुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बो निताय गौर हरि बो जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद श्री प्रभुपाद की Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai Gaura Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Yes. So reading today from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 1:65-66. Ishwarera avatara etina prakara Amsha avatara araguna avatara Shaktyavisha avatara tritiya emata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishvarera avatara etina prakara Amsa avatara araguna avatara Shaktyavisha avatara tritiya emata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishvarera avatare tina prakara Amsa avatara gunavatar Javatara titiya mata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadikatara Ishwarera avatare tina prakara Amsha avatara aragunavatara Shaktya Vishavatara Titiya Himata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishwarera avatare itina prakara Amsha avatara aragunavatara Shaktya Vishavatara Titiya Himata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishwarera avatare etina prakara Amsha avatara aragunavatara Shaktya Vishavatara Titiya Himata Amsa avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishwarera avatara etina prakara Amsha avatara aragunavatara Shaktya Vishavatara Titiya Himata Amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata Ishwarera avatara etina prakara Amsha avatara aragunavatara Shaktya avatara titiya mata Amshavatara Purusha Matsyadikayata Ishvarera of the Supreme Lord, Avatara, incarnations, Prakara, Etina, these three, Prakara, kinds, Amsha Avatara, partial incarnations, Ara, and Guna Avatara, qualitative incarnations, Shakyavesha Avatara, empowered incarnations, Tritiya, the third, Emata, thus, Amsha Avatara, partial incarnations, Purusha, the three Purusha incarnations, Matsya, the fish incarnation, Adika, and so on, Yata, all. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purusha and Matsya are examples of partial incarnations. Everyone can repeat. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purushas and Matsya are examples of partial incarnations. Om Jnanati Padandasya Ganam Jana Sharakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Daratishva Parandikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Hari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I want to say I'm very happy to be here with the Vaishnavas under the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Shri Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman, Shri Panchatattva, and their dear devotees. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to do some service. Hopefully I can say something meaningful. So in this verse, although Srila Prabhupada didn't put any particular purport, if we go back and look at previous verses, there are a few verses glorifying the devotees, from Bhagavatam, Sadhavohi Hridayam Maham Sarunam Taham, etc., and Bhavad-vida Bhagavatas. So these are very important verses. I think also there's Satam Prasangam Mama Veya Samvido, glorifying the devotee. And now we have, so this is an evolution. The evolution is that speaking about the spiritual master, and then who is the spiritual master? Spiritual master is the external manifestation of Paramatma. And therefore, being the external manifestation of Paramatma, there is no difference between the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the sense, just like we chant every day, Sakshat Haritva. There's no difference. Meaning that whatever the Lord is doing and whatever the Lord is desiring and whatever the Lord is speaking, then the devotee will do the same. There's no difference in that sense. But there's a big difference in qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. The quality of Krishna's activities is beyond the scope of even the greatest devotees. As Uddhava prayed to, or was praying, offering prayers to the gopis, unequaled and unparalleled devotional service. He said, even Brahma, Shiva, and even Lakshmi cannot approach the Lord in the same way. Even Lakshmi Devi, although she may massage the lotus feet of the Lord and do so many intimate services, the gopis, they hang their arms around the Lord and control him by their love. So the position of a devotee is very beyond that of even Brahma and Shiva, although they are great personalities, and we'll hear about them in the next verse. But the devotee is so great that we cannot even fathom the greatness of a devotee. But compared to the devotees, Krishna is the greatest. Although Krishna considers his devotees to be more important than him, and we'll discuss that a little later. So, the next verse, 67, Brahma Vishnu Shiva Tina Gunavatare Gane Shaktya Vesha Sanakari Pritu Vyasamuni. So first, we had examples of the partial incarnations. Now here we're speaking about incarnations. Afterwards we will speak about Rupa, the actual form of the Lord. Because these three, the qualitative incarnations, Karanadakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, they, although they resemble the Lord, their forms are quite different in the sense that they're even different from Vishnu in their configuration and the fact that they're lying down, not standing, not performing leelas with their devotees, and therefore they're considered to be partial. Even Matsya, although certainly a fish cannot have, if you try to have some rasa with a fish, most people, the rasa with the fish is to kill them, and eat them. So that's their rasa. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if someone is not using mustard oil, they must be eating fish. Speaking about Bengal and Orissa. So these, but Matsya, he has devotees, the 7 sages, they are saved by him, but there's no real relationship. Therefore it's partial. And it says adhika in this verse, which means so on. That means kurma, how much you can have, I guess, a little more relationship with a turtle than you can with a fish. You can pick up the turtle and play with him, hope he doesn't bite you, and you can't do that with a fish. So this is the evolution of the Lord, showing that as the consciousness evolves, the Lord appears in a more a form that is suitable for our consciousness as they evolve. So this is spoken about by Bhaktivinoda Thakur very deeply in his Krishna Samhita. So now we have the Gunavatars. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Pitu, and Mahamuni Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas. So here, qualitative incarnations, what does that mean? It means that they exhibit the three qualities of nature. They are not controlled by them. They control these qualities. But because, in the case of Brahma and Shiva, they are also slightly affected by the modes that they control, whereas Vishnu is not affected. Vishnu is not touched by the modes of nature. But he actually, all the three modes of nature emanate from him, and the two lower modes are given jurisdiction to Brahma and Shiva. And we can see that in the pastime where Bhrigu Muni is chosen by the sages to find out who is the supreme, Vishnu, Brahma, or Shiva. And of course we know that when he confronted Lord Brahma, he is the son of Brahma. So he should have offered great respect, but he simply walked up to him and began to speak. And Brahma was angry because he's a little bit affected. Mode of passion means anger. Mode of ignorance means extreme anger. So, but he controlled his anger by his intelligence. And then when he went to meet Lord Shiva, he said, Shiva came to embrace him. He said, "No, please don't touch me. You're covered with ashes. You live in the crematorium. You associate with ghosts." And Shiva became very angry. He was going to kill him. Extreme anger. But then Sati said, no, he's your brother. You shouldn't kill him. Just like Kamsa, he was ready to kill Devaki for his own benefit, for his own. Of course, in Shiva's case, he was actually giving a proper chastisement, that someone who exhibits that nature to a great personality should be chastised, but should not be killed. So there are many instances, just like when Prithu Maharaj, when he discovered that the mendicant who came to take away the horse from the last Ashvamedha Yajna was actually Indra. He wanted to kill him. But Lord Brahma said, "This is not very good. This will create a very great universal disruption." So he refrained. So it's not good to kill. And when he came to Lord Vishnu, Vishnu said, "Oh, excuse me, my dear great sage, I did not receive you properly." He said, he thought like that. It was, and not only, this was not Vishnu putting on some kind of an act so that everyone can understand that he likes his devotee. He actually felt that way. He felt like that. And then when Bhrigu Muni kicked him in the chest, he said, "I hope that my hard chest did not damage your feet in any way." No, I have a very hard chest. So this is the quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We speak about humility. Lord Chaitanya instructs us, "Trinadapi sunichena, tarodiva sihishnuna." We should have these qualities. Where do they come from? They come from Krishna. Humility. We can see Krishna's humility. And we'll see more of that later on. So, we'll go to text 68, where the Lord changes from incarnations. These are not incarnations, these are expansions. What we will see now. Dvirupe hoya bhagavanera prakash ekata prakash hai areta vilasa. Translation. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms, prakasha and vilasa. Purport. The Supreme Lord expands himself expands his personal forms into two primary categories. The Prakash forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes, and their features are exactly like his. When the Lord married 16,000 queens of Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakash expansions. Similarly, during the Rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical Prakash forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. When did he do that again? Well, in different occasions. When Krishna entered Mithila, he expanded himself into two forms, one for Bahulashva and the other one for, what's his name? Yes. So he expanded himself twice. And in the form of Lord Chaitanya, he expanded himself in the different kirtans. So this is Prakash. Prakash literally means expanding oneself. And Vilasa, for pastimes. When the Lord manifests his Vilasa expansions, however, they are all somewhat different in their bodily features. Lord Balaram is the first Vilasa expansion of Lord Krishna, and the four-handed Narayan forms in Vaikuntha expand from Balaram. There is no difference between the bodily forms of Sri Krishna and Balaram, except that their bodily colors are different. Similarly, Sri Narayan in Vaikuntha has four hands, where Krishna has only two. The expansions of the Lord who manifest such bodily differences are known as Vilasa Vigrahas. Sometimes we see Krishna accepts a forearm form, just like it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when Krishna left the rasa dance, of course Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives us a different explanation, a more rasic explanation. He says that actually Radharani left the dance, wasn't Krishna. She left first because she was seeing that Krishna was dancing between every two gopis. And even though he was personally dancing with her, but she's saying, why is Krishna doing this? She was a little upset, and she left, and then Krishna left. And of course, then Krishna abandoned Srimati Radharani afterwards, showing that because she was a little proud, the gopis were proud, she was proud. Of course, this pride, this is not like our pride. This is Yogamaya. Yogamaya manifests this pride, but Krishna's pastimes are meant not only to, they're not meant to entertain us, they're meant to enlighten us. And so within his pastimes, there are different forms. So in this rasa dance, in the springtime rasa dance, Krishna leaves first. And he left, and all the gopis were searching for him. So he was hiding behind a bush. And the gopis were looking, and then someone saw him. Oh, there's Krishna. And he said, what am I going to do? I have to hide. So he took his forearm form of Vishnu. And the gopis came, and they said, have you seen Krishna? No. Now, if we saw Narayan, we wouldn't say, have you seen Krishna? Most likely. We would bow down and maybe faint. No. But they were so absorbed in Krishna. And of course, Srila Prabhupada mentions in one purport in Bhagavad Gita that devotees of Krishna are not so interested in other forms. And even Prakashananda Saraswati Thakur, he says that, I'm sorry, Prabodhananda Saraswati, he says that who even cares for Govinda? When you compare him to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited mercy, I'm not so interested in Govinda. What to speak of anybody else? And so This is rasa. This is not something we can imitate. This is something that emanates from the heart when the heart is totally purified. So then Radharani came, and she saw this four-arm form. And when she saw it, when Krishna looked into her eyes and saw the love that she had for him, he could not maintain a four-arm form. He took the two-arm form. And then he had a little lila with her, and he also left. And she joined the other gopis. So the point is, just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he goes to Alalana, when Lord Jagannath is having his Anavasara, he goes because he's remembering this pastime. And therefore, the deity there has four arms, because it's representing this particular lila. So, we'll read, I'm just going to read maybe just 2 more verses to finish up this discussion of Prakash. And then whoever gives class next can take up the vilas. So, Ekai vigraha jari hoy bahurupa akare ta beda nahi ekai swarupa mahishi vivahe jate yache koilarasa ikake kahiya krishnera mukya prakasha. When the personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all are non-different in their features, as Lord Krishna did when he married 16,000 queens, and when he performed his rasa dance. Such forms of the Lord are called manifested forms, prakash vigrahas. And we'll read one more verse. Chitram vaitaitar ekina vapusha 𝒄𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒕 griheshu dvashta sahasram striya eka 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐌𝐔𝐍𝐈𝐓𝐘 sarvata tad swarupaiva sa prakasha etiryate. In numerous forms, all equal to in their features, are displayed simultaneously. If numerous forms, all equal in their features, are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called prakasha vigrahas of the Lord. This is a quotation from LIKE Bhagavatamrita, compiled by Sri Rupa Goswami. So, the main example given here of the is this supposed to hold the pages down? No. Hare Krishna. So, the main example given here is the 16,000 wives. Krishna, after he killed Narakasura, of course, Krishna revealed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed to Murari Gupta in the form of Varahadev. He said, "How much do I love my devotees?" He said, "How much do I love them?" He said, "I love the devotees so much that I killed my own son." He said, "When I lifted up the earth became pregnant and gave birth to Naraka. And Naraka was I taught him everything about the Vedas, Vedic knowledge, devotional service. I taught him everything. But he fell into bad association, like 𝒉𝒍𝒂𝒏𝒕 and other different personalities who were also devotees of the Lord, but they became disenchanted because of false ego, and they became demoniac. So Naraka became Narakasura. And he said, even though he was my son, because he was disturbing my devotees, I killed him. That's how much I love my devotees. So when Narada Muni heard about this, and he heard that this one person, Krishna, is living, beautiful verses in chapter 69, the beginning of chapter 69 of the 10th canto. It describes that Narada Muni was very curious. How can this one Krishna marry all these queens? How can he do that? That means that to be with Krishna, according to our mundane calculation, they would have to wait. How much would that take? 16,003. They would have to wait like 48 years to see Krishna again in their palace. 48 years, maybe 50 years. No. That would be a long wait, especially when we say Shunyayetam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me. No, one cannot, of course, this is not the Govinda form of Krishna, this is the Vasudeva form of Krishna, but the queens are very absorbed. They even exhibit very intense manifestations of rasa, like prema vaichitya, where one is actually with Krishna, but one forgets that one is with Krishna. So the queens do that as well as the gopis. The queens are very elevated. And it's described in those verses, Srila Prabhupada describes that there were 900,000 palaces in Dwarka. And Krishna had 16,108 palaces. So everybody lived in a palace. Not like you go here in Delhi or any big city in the world, and you see some people are living very nicely, and other people are living in a shack, with a little piece of tin and some cardboard, and especially this time of year, they're suffering. But in Vaikuntha, everybody has a palace. In Vrindavan, everybody has a palace. In Dwarka, everybody has a palace. Even in Vrindavan, where everyone lives very simpler lifestyle, but still, Nanda Maharaj has a big palace, and everybody has a beautiful home made of jewels, and precious stones, not like cement and metal and cement and glass, and trying to get the best price. How can we get the maybe not the best materials, but okay materials at the best price? But that's not a problem. So, and everything was so beautiful, and everything was so clean, and everything was so wonderful. And Narada Muni was overwhelmed at the opulence of Dwarka. Now, Narada Muni is Trikalagya. He knows past, present, and future. But still, the pastime of Krishna accepting so many wives was bewildering to him. He said, let me see. So he went to the first palace, and he saw Krishna embracing his wife. And when he came in, immediately Krishna got up and went over to Narada Muni and bowed down and touched his crown to his lotus feet. And then he took Narada Muni and he performed artik, and then he washed his lotus feet. And he said, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Narada Muni was, previous to that, he had come to Krishna's assembly hall, and Krishna would get up and offer respects, but never did Krishna do this, washing his feet. No. And so, but he said, now Krishna is offering me something. And he said, my dear Lord, the only thing I request from you is that wherever I travel and wherever I go, I always remember you. This is the only thing I can ask from you. Otherwise, you've already given me everything. What more can I ask for? Just give me this blessing. So Narada Muni was amazed at how Krishna was so humble. No, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the Lord of all opulence, especially in Dwarka. In Vrindavan, you could think, well, Krishna may be a little more humble because, he's he's taking a subordinate role to his devotees. But in Dwarka, the devotees worship him with opulence, and they all know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though he still likes to be subordinated to his devotees. We can see that in the pastime of Rukmini, where Krishna, he starts speaking to her like, "Why did you marry me? I'm a total failure. I'm a Kshatriya, but I don't have a kingdom. And when if I identify myself as a cowherd boy, I don't have any cows. So I failed. You don't want to be married to a failure? Better Shishupal. Oh, he's very qualified. He's a king. He's got his own kingdom. He's got his army. He'll be well protected." She was crying, and Krishna, finally he pacified her, and he said, I wanted you to become angry, but I see you cannot do that. She could do it. Satyabhama can become angry because she's an expansion of Srimati Radharani. Actually, all of them are ultimate expansions of Radharani, but different queens are expansions of different devotees, different gopis. So, but still, although she will become angry with Krishna, she always submits to him afterwards. So, this is Dwarka. So then Narada Muni went to the next house, and Krishna was playing dice with his wife, and somebody else was there also. Uddhava was there. And so, and then same Krishna came up, offered obeisances to Narada Muni, as if he had not seen him before. He just saw him. And he was showing him. Why did he do that? Why didn't he just say, well, you're the same Narada, I'm the same Krishna. Why should we waste time with more ceremonies? Let's just, what do you need? No. He worshipped him again, and he said, oh, I'm so fortunate that you have come and blessed my palace. What can I do for you? And Narada Muni, he's so different. He's the same Krishna with the same exact form, but he's completely different. Then he went to another house. And Krishna was holding his children very affectionately, smelling their heads and rubbing their heads. Then he went to another house. And Krishna was in the courtyard practicing sword fighting and use of weapons. Then he went to another house, and Krishna was instructing different members of the Yadu dynasty. And so Narada Muni was totally amazed. Although these forms are exactly the same, they're all doing something completely different. Who can do that? And some of our acharyas, they comment that there are devotees like Saubardi Muni. They could expand themselves. He expanded himself into 50 forms, but he could not. All the forms, they could not be so different. They all basically were doing the same thing with different wives, because that is the nature of yoga. Also, Narada Muni can expand himself. And other great devotees can expand themselves into 1 or 2 forms or 7 forms. And they can maybe expand themselves more. But they do that simply for Krishna's pastimes. They don't do it out of their own. Only yogis, they will do such things. They will expand themselves out of pride. So, Narada Muni concluded that Krishna is unfathomable. Who can really understand Krishna? I cannot understand Krishna. I'm Trikalagya, but I cannot understand Krishna. And then the other example, a more intimate example, Krishna performing the rasa dance with the gopis. He expands himself, but the gopis, they can only see Krishna. They can't see, they can see the other gopis, but they don't see Krishna with them. And they're thinking, oh, I'm so fortunate. Krishna's dancing with me. Everyone could see that, but Radharani could see Krishna in between the other gopis, and that's why she became upset. Who can understand this unlimited potency of Krishna? And this is his prakash. And then he expands himself in so many different ways. These are all expansions. These are not incarnations. Incarnation means they take, although their body is spiritual, they manifest a completely different form than Krishna's form. No, not a 𝒍𝒃𝒂𝒏𝒕. No. Even Jagannath, who is Krishna himself, his form is a little bit different. Although he is Krishna, but he's just Krishna thinking about Vrindavan. And so, here, of course, this is briefly discussed. This is discussed much more deeply in 𝒍𝒃𝒂𝒏𝒕 by Sri Rupa Goswami. You know, he explains all these expansions, all these different incarnations, very systematic. You know, our acharyas are very systematic. They're explaining the nature of love of God. Just like science nowadays has expanded itself. You know, India produces more technological capable people than any other country in the world. You know? And so, but all this technology, what does it result in? You know, Prabhupada says, he said twice, once in a lecture and once in books, where he's the Ramananda Samvada. He's speaking, and he says, so they think they have invented the atomic bomb. He said, actually, it was not them that invented it, it was Krishna. No. And he simply gave them the idea. He gave them the intelligence. Because all intelligence comes from Krishna. He says, I am the intelligence of the intelligent. So he empowers them. In another place, Srila Prabhupada said, he said, it was Krishna through his Maya potency, so that she could destroy all of their illusions. But still, we see, even though atomic energy has become so destructive, even when they use it for electricity or something, then you have this radioactive waste, and you have to put it somewhere. So sometimes they send it into outer space, and sometimes they bury it somewhere, you know. And so this is all, and so Srila Prabhupada said, so they want to take credit, but actually Maya is empowering them. He said Maya empowers the great philosophers and the scientists especially. They are Maya's pure devotees. You know. They are expert at representing Maya. So this is all Krishna's arrangement. And technology always results in something difficult. You know. But there is a spiritual technology, and that spiritual technology is given to us by Rupa Goswami, 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, by all of our acharyas. Such intimacy. Just like there are many books on mathematics. I personally studied nuclear physics, so I know, you know, but nothing like all these books we have about rasa. The tattva of Krishna, the rasa of Krishna is unlimited. And just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if they can make a newspaper every day just talking about some mundane activities, you know, and usually it's always negative, you know, almost always negative. If somebody got married, of course from a brahmachari, sannyasi, vanaprastha point of view, that's also negative. But it becomes very positive. Everything becomes positive in Krishna consciousness. He said, so how much more can we speak about Krishna every day? And he began, you know, kept on his father's work of publishing so many magazines about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all of his different aspects. So this is Krishna consciousness. We're so fortunate to have this spiritual science. Someone asked me the other day, a Christian man, very favorable to our movement, he said, You said this is a spiritual movement, a scientific spiritual movement. What does that mean? I said, that means there's a great science in understanding the nature of love. You know? Love is something that everyone experiences to so many different degrees. You know? And everyone is looking for it. And everyone thinks that love is the greatest happiness. So therefore, if it is the greatest thing, there must be a greater science behind it, you know, than just some technology. Technology, this is in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the Yantra Yuga. This is the Yuga where everything's done by machines, it's done mechanically. So all these great discoveries, technological discoveries that people are fascinated by and bewildered by, it's just manipulation of material elements. 𝒍𝒂𝒚𝒔, as it says in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Tejovari mridam yata vinimaya yatra 𝒍𝒂𝒚𝒔. Just manipulation of water, fire, and earth. Manipulate, make some bricks, make some cement, build something, figure out how all these little particles are working, although they can't figure it out. Actually, physicists are becoming more bewildered all the time because they can't combine classic physics with quantum physics, and then they come up with string theory. Now they've found some problems with the string theory, so now they're looking for a new theory. How do we explain black holes? They've never experienced a black hole. They just look in a telescope and see something, and they say, oh, they've named it a black holes. Now let us understand black holes. No. They should understand the black hole in their consciousness. No. Then they would be more advanced. So we're so fortunate to have this Krishna consciousness movement, to have this wonderful literature. We just have to realize how fortunate we are and never again become bewildered by Maya. So these are some thoughts on these verses, and I'll stop here. Any questions? Any comments? I'm just going to put in my little apparatuses here because so many wampers over so many years have destroyed my ears, especially first Padayatra. That was very heavy. We had these big speakers about as big as that column, and we were listening to them every day. So if I to be able to hear, I have to have these apparatuses. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for a wonderful lecture. Maharaj, you told us that regarding Satyabhama and Rukmani, that Satyabhama is the incarnation of Radharani. And what about Rukmani? Rukmani is the expansion of which deities?
Rukmini is actually a manifestation of Radharani without her left-wing tendency, which is Chandravali. So Chandravali expands herself into Rukmini.
Okay, thank you.
But every queen, every gopi, every queen, every manifestation of Durga, they're all expansions of Radharani. You know? Just like every incarnation, avatar, expansion, and all the Vibhinamsas, all of us ultimately come from Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful lecture. It's short and sweet. Maharaj, my question is that we see Prabhupada disciples, senior Prabhupada disciples like you and others, they are very much convinced that about the path of Krishna consciousness and what Prabhupada told us. So how can we read books and we also do our sadhana, but still we are lacking in the firm faith and conviction that Srila Prabhupada disciples have in Srila Prabhupada's words and Srila Prabhupada's given process. So how can we develop that kind of faith? Because Srila Prabhupada personally is not among us. Maybe through Vapu Seva or Vani Seva we can do. But how can we develop that such firm faith?
Well, first of all, this is called Guru Varga, and of course Guru Varga has always existed. Just like we see, we were speaking about this yesterday, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he worshipped Advaita Acharya because he is on the same Guru Varga as his Guru, as his initiating spiritual master. And he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the disciple sometimes can be more advanced than the Guru, but the disciple never thinks that they're more advanced than the Guru. Then he becomes, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Guru, becomes a cow-like mentality, or ass-like mentality. Just like in the case of Mukunda, he had a wonderful son, who was actually more advanced than him, Raghunandana, because he had the pastime where Raghunandan was left to make the offering to the deity, and Raghunandan said, "My father said I should make sure that you eat," meaning make sure you make the offering. They said, "Please eat," and the deity, nothing happened, and so he began to cry and insist, "My father has told me this, therefore you must eat." He had such intimacy with the Lord, so the Lord, he took everything. Mukunda came back home, and he said, so we asked his wife, "Where is the prasadam?" He said, "There is no prasadam." And what do you mean no prasadam? No, he brought the plate empty. So Mukunda thought, Raghunandan's the young boy, he could not eat all of this offering. And Raghunandan said, "No, the deity ate it." So Mukunda said, "Deity." But then he thought, where did it go? Did he give it to some? There was no dogs, there were no animals. No. And so he thought, let's make another offering. In the next offering, he said, "I want you to offer." But this time, he was looking inside the altar, and he saw Raghunandan said, "My dear Lord, you must eat, but this time please leave some remnants for my father." So the deity took half, big laddu, he took half and left the other half. And so then when Lord Chaitanya saw Mukunda later, he said, "So Mukunda, who is the father and who is the son?" He said, "Oh, Raghunandan is the father, I am the son." So this is the humility that we should exhibit. Even though we have Guru Varga and, Prabhupada disciples, what is the difference between a Prabhupada disciple and somebody else's disciple? Essentially there's no difference. But for formality's sake, out of respect, because, amani na mani dena, mani dena, we respect everyone. And we especially respect the Vaishnavas. And we especially respect Vaishnavas who are very advanced. Bhajana Vijnana, as Rupa Goswami says. They are totally realized in bhajan. So that may be an Uttamadhikari, or that may be an advanced Madhyamadhikari. Uttamadhikari is a very special position. We can see that Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they were definitely Uttamadhikaris. There may be some devotees in our movement who are Uttamadhikaris. It's very difficult to see inside someone's heart. But we have something to compare them to. And if we compare them to Srila Prabhupada, they may be very advanced Madhyamadhikaris, someone may be on the threshold of Uttamadhikari. But Srila Prabhupada is the Uttamadhikari. And therefore, every devotee in this movement has access to Srila Prabhupada through his spiritual master, in the sense that to understand Srila Prabhupada's teachings without any interpretation of one's mind or intellect, then one needs a guru. But ultimately, Srila Prabhupada is delivering all the transcendental knowledge, and we are just those of us that represent him, which is everyone, all of you. Someone goes out on Sankirtan, someone gives a lecture. We're all representing Srila Prabhupada. It's just that. And we're getting Divya Gyan from Srila Prabhupada. And we're even getting Divya Gyan from Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So it's not just one thing. Just, I have my guru and that's it. This is very limited. This is a very neophyte position. The advanced devotee sees everyone as their guru. And Uttamadhikari sees everyone, just like the Avaduta avatar, the Avaduta Brahman. He saw everything and everyone as his guru. So this is Uttamadhikari, very special position. And so, because Srila Prabhupada is definitely Uttamadhikari, some others may or may not be. They may be very advanced devotees, they may be, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And therefore, to maintain the sanctity and the unity of this movement, we have to always keep Srila Prabhupada in a very special place, whether we're his direct disciples or indirect disciples. There's no difference. Ultimately, if you take Srila Prabhupada's teachings to heart, whether you're indirect or direct, it doesn't matter. The effect is the same. And we take that very seriously through our Diksha Guru and or Shiksha Guru. Because actually the Diksha Guru never instructs us. The Shiksha Guru does. So the Diksha Guru sometimes becomes the Shiksha Guru, and sometimes we have other people as Shiksha Gurus. Just like if a Guru has many disciples, then it will require that many devotees become Shiksha Gurus. Otherwise, how will they get any personal instruction? No. So this is, I was just reading, very interestingly, just a few verses before this, interesting what, trying to find that. Can't remember, it's somewhere in here. Must be after this section. Yes. Here, verse 58. Jiva sakshad nahi tatte guru chaita rupe shiksha guru haya Krishna mahanta swarupe. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of Supersoul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Now what does Krishnadas Kaviraj Swami say? Shiksha Guru. So it's actually the Shiksha Guru, the representative of Govinda, who is the Abhideya deity, who actually instructs us. And sometimes the Diksha Guru is the Shiksha Guru, and sometimes it's someone else is the Shiksha Guru. And actually all of us, or mostly all of us, we didn't come to this movement and get instructed directly by Srila Prabhupada. Even some of his oldest disciples, they got instruction from other disciples. Only the first few, they got direct instruction from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada would also have them read certain books to get other instruction. So this process of shiksha is the active principle of spiritual life. And our diksha, of course, Prabhupada also says something very interesting. I can't remember where I read it, but I definitely read it. One conversation, Prabhupada says, the Shiksha Guru must agree totally with the instructions of the Diksha Guru. He said, otherwise it will be demoniac. If a Shiksha Guru teaches something different from the Diksha Guru, if someone becomes a Shiksha Guru, they have to represent the Diksha Guru. Unless the Diksha Guru is off the rail or something, but we hope that will not happen. So this is how Guru Tattva flows, through Diksha and Shiksha. But the actual instruction comes to us through Shiksha. And we can see that here from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for very nice explanation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for coming our temple to bless us,
Oh,
Maharaj.
my pleasure. First time I've been here.
Thank you, Maharaj. Would you like to share any experience with Srila Prabhupada when you met him and how many times you met him?
Srila Prabhupada.
When you met him, Srila Prabhupada, and where you met him?
Where did I?
Srila Prabhupada.
Well, I met, my association with Srila Prabhupada was very brief. I came to India for the first time for the 1976 festival. Before that, I was in the army, so I couldn't go to where Prabhupada was coming because I was stuck in Panama, in the middle of Central America, and I couldn't go. I could only get away for one day. I tried to go see him in Caracas, Venezuela, but there were no flights. And so anyway, so then I got out of the army and joined Radha Damodar and the library party for a few months to collect for my ticket. And then I was very attracted to the library party because, distributing sets of Prabhupada's books. And I didn't want to go back to Latin America. But then my temple president said, Satsvarup Maharaj is taking one of my devotees. So Prabhupada said, you go back. I said, okay, must do what Prabhupada said. And then I came to, that was when I met Srila Prabhupada in the sense of being initiated. First we were in Mayapur, and I was very fortunate, because I was a new devotee, pretty new devotee at that time. Although I'd been chanting for 3 years, but still I was a new devotee. And so the Prabhupada's secretary, I was staying on the same floor as Prabhupada's room, about maybe 30 meters away. And his secretary came, said, I need someone who knows how to type. So I, like this, I was the first one to raise my hand. And I was pretty good at typing. So he said, you come here, you can stay here. I was right outside of Prabhupada's room. And in the inner boundary, it was like there were 2 guards, Ramananda and Chutananda on both sides, big, and nobody could get through. So first thing I typed was the sannyas mantra. There were 6 people taking sannyas, so I had to type sannyas mantra 6 times. And I thought, this is a nice mantra. Maybe someday I'll be qualified to chant it. So I'm still working on that, but it's a very intimate mantra. So then, every day, I spoke to Brahmananda Prabhu, Swami at that time, and I said, so is it all right if I kind of go and observe Srila Prabhupada in his room? And he said, yeah, but don't let him see you. Of course, Prabhupada probably saw me, but he was very merciful. And so I would watch Srila Prabhupada sometimes taking prasadam, and Prabhupada didn't like anyone to be in the room when he took prasadam. Occasionally he would have 1 or 2 older devotees, but generally Prabhupada taught us that taking prasadam is very sacred. Just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take prasadam with his devotees, they would take a little prasadam and then they would say Hare, Hare, and someone would say something about Krishna and then he would take some more, then someone else. To emphasize what a spiritual activity. And I would see Prabhupada would take, especially in the beginning, he would take a little bit of prasadam. He would just make a little ball, eat rice and dal, whatever it was, or take a chapati, and he would just go like this. Not like us. No. I was very expert. But I saw he would meditate on it. He would pick it up and like this, and then he would. So you could see he was seeing Krishna in the prasadam. Not like, oh, this is my favorite, no, burfi, no. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when they took his remnant plates, he would take everything and mix it up and then take a handful of salt and put it in. So that somebody wouldn't go, no, I want the rasgulla. No, oh, nobody would want the rice. No, everybody want rasgulla, rubbery, pakora, and then rice and dal. So he made sure, you want remnants, then you take the remnant. No, everybody gets the same remnant. So anyway, I got that opportunity to do that service, and then we went to Vrindavan, and that's where I got initiated in Vrindavan. So that was my. And then we went to Delhi, and went to a few programs with Srila Prabhupada. One thing, I'll just explain this very quickly. I know I'm a little over time, but we were. And at that time, the Delhi temple was in Greater Kailash. It was a big house. And so Prabhupada was there. We were taking prasadam. And we finished. And the cows, whenever the prasadam time would come, the cows would come and put their head over the wall of the temple. And so we were giving them our leaf plates. Prabhupada called us up to the roof. He was chanting on the roof. And he said, "You do not give your remnants to your mother." He said, "First you feed the cow, then you take her remnants." So the next day we bought bananas and everything, and first gave the cows some bananas, and then we took some. And one devotee, Tejas Prabhu, we were giving them some sabji, but he said, "No, that is not good for the cows. They should not have, they can have a little bit cooked grains, but no cooked vegetables. It's not good for them." So we would just give them bananas, because everything we had was cooked. And sometimes we would give them chapatis, and Prabhupada was happy that we learned that lesson.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, you told in your lecture that now India is kind of, making or producing more technology people than anywhere else in the world. And we see that our education system has become like that. Right from the childhood, mind is bent toward technology, logic, seeing is believing. So from Maharaj, from your experience, like you have said that you studied nuclear science, so what is the most effective way of preaching the young generation nowadays? Because they're all technology bent.
Everyone is bewildered by technology, Just like previously people would be bewildered by magicians or people with mystical powers. So there's always, everybody wants to be bewildered. Because bewildered means that I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to figure out everything with my limited intelligence. So, what I usually say to young people is, no, you're looking into a tunnel. This little, 10 centimeter by 6 centimeter tunnel. And you're basing your whole life on this little machine. Why don't you take advantage of the association of Vaishnavas who will teach you something? And then some young people will tell me, "No, but we can look up anything here." I said, "Yes, you can, but do you do that every day? Is that what you're doing every time you look at your cell phone?" No. I said, "You're looking into the tunnel of Maya and seeing all these different things to try to entertain your mind. But Krishna is not for entertaining us. We are for entertaining Krishna. And so, therefore, you have to with young people especially, you have to use a little logic, a little common sense, so that they can break away from this being so conditioned. And in India, there's one very good quality among the people. I mean, there's many qualities, but one very good quality is that people are generally obedient. There's culture. There's a culture of obedience and respect. In the West, that's not, you know, people challenge their parents and go away from home when they're 15 years old. But that respect is there in China and India, and some degree Latin America, some degree Africa, but India is the strongest. So, but they also become very obedient to Maya, you know? Not just Krishna, not just the elders. And the elders are in Maya too, you know? So if everyone is in Maya, and the most prominent elders are Mayavadis, you know? So everyone is bewildered by Maya. And therefore, they're conditioning, what to speak of so many lifetimes in this material world. So that's what we're dealing with. You know? And it's not just the young people. The most difficult people are the older people. You know? Unless they're like having some definite physical problem or something and they take shelter of Krishna. When someone, imagine someone's been practicing Mayavad philosophy for the last 60 years and we come and tell them, oh, this is all nonsense. No. How will they react? So it requires, and that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, it requires so much humility and tolerance to preach. Kapila Dev says, Titikshasva karunika. Before you can have karuna, you have to have titiksha. You have to have patience. You have to be able to understand these people are seeing the world through a huge, thick layer of Maya that has been accumulated for thousands or millions of bodies, where they all tried to enjoy that body to the greatest extent. And therefore, we should never become frustrated when we're in our preaching that people don't take it up right away, or that people, they chant a little bit and they go away, or they do this, or even we see devotees, they become bewildered by their little tiny intelligence, thinking that now I've understood everything about Krishna. No. And all these things happen. Just the best thing to do, we follow this very, very sincerely and faithfully Shikshastikam. And as Srila Prabhupada said, our duty is to approach people and offer Krishna. You know, it is up to Krishna if they will accept or not. So this is real detachment. Detachment doesn't mean we don't want them. We want them. We want to convince them. But at the same time, we understand that some people will not be able to take it. Srila Prabhupada said one time, don't be surprised who leaves Krishna consciousness. Be surprised who stays. So it's not easy. And so we have to be very careful that we cultivate the proper mood. Srila Prabhupada says in the beginning of the introduction or preface to Upadeshamrita, he says, basically, I can't remember the exact, but he says, this whole book is about developing the qualities necessary for being a pure devotee. No, it's not just information. We're so addicted to information that we apply the information theory to Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness is not about getting information or not about getting knowledge. It is about assimilating knowledge, which means you know how to take the knowledge and put it into practice. Otherwise, what Krishna says, jnana vijnana sahitam. There must be vijnana with jnana. Otherwise, your jnana just turns you into a mental ass, carrying around a big load of information, which is what, so that's what we're dealing with. And the more we realize that, Krishna will give us the intelligence. Just like Srila Prabhupada, where did he get the intelligence? To anything that anyone said, he could defeat it. Anything. And he just, sometimes his examples came from Bhagavatam, but sometimes you could just see they're coming from Krishna within the heart. So the more sincerely we surrender to Krishna, the more we will be able to preach and convince people. And of course, Srila Prabhupada said, you cannot convince someone if you are not convinced yourself. So we have to make sure we're thoroughly convinced and not at all bewildered by Maya. Otherwise, better just to give them a book and let Prabhupada preach to them. If I'm not so convinced or I'm not feeling so strong, let me give them a book. That will give me strength and that will give me surrender to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class. It was very, each and every word was very relishing and created a deep impact. Maharaj, a very small question, but it was confusing me since quite some time. I just wanted to know, like, what is the difference between an incarnation, an expansion, plenary expansion, and like we see various names, so it is very difficult to identify whether it is an incarnation or it is an expansion.
What is the difference between the function?
Between incarnation, expansion.
Yeah, incarnation means, just like it said, there's 3 types of incarnations. The Gunavatars, the Shaktivesh avatars, and the Amsha avatars. So each one of them is not totally Krishna in the sense that the first 2, of course, Vishnu is Krishna, but Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu within the material world is not the same as Krishna. No. And Matsya is an incarnation of Krishna, and as is Kurma and Nrsimha and all the different and the Kumaras and the others, they are expansions of Krishna potency. So the difference between an expansion is actually Krishna just expanding himself for purposes. So the expansions, when you read the next part, there will be, the first expansion is Balaram, and then from Balaram come all the Vishnu expansions. But they are all very similar to Krishna, very similar. No. And their functions are vilas. Their functions are pastimes, to have pastimes with their devotees. And that's the difference. That's why Matsya, Kurma, and even Nrsimhadev, he had a pastime with his devotee, but even he felt like his pastime was incomplete. Because after Prasad, then we see Vamanadev. And Vamanadev had a mother and a father. Nrsimhadev, Kurma, Matsya, they had no father or mother. No. And we saw that Vamana had father and mother, but then he left. No. Kapiladev had father and mother, then as soon as he began enlightening his mother, the father left. But then Ramachandra had father and mother for so long. And Krishna had father and mother all through his lifetime. So these are expansions. Expansions means that they have the pastimes, intimate pastimes with their devotees. Whereas incarnations come to perform a function within the material world. That's why it's called incarnation, although it's not, karna means flesh, but they're not taking flesh body, but they're taking a totally different form to perform a function within the material energy.
So they also have same qualities as Krishna, Maharaj?
They have the same potency. The same potency is there. Therefore, Brahma Samhita gives us the example. You can light one candle from another candle. It's all the same potency. But different candles will last for different amounts of time, or different candles will give more or less light. So, each expansion of Krishna will exhibit some percentage of Krishna's total potency. But as we see, as Rupa Goswami has explained, that the living entities have maximum 78% of Krishna's qualities. And Lord Shiva has 84%. And Lord Narayan has 96%. And Balaram has almost the same as Krishna. But his flute playing is not the same. His pastimes are not expanded as Krishna's. Although he does the same things. He has gopis. But his pastimes with the gopis are not as intimate as the pastimes of Krishna with his gopis. So, besides every expansion after Krishna, except for the Prakash expansions, which all have the same potency, they'll have a little less, they may have the same potency, but they'll have less rasa. The rasa will not be the same. The rasa will not be as complete, as thorough as in Krishna. No. So within the Vilas expansions, there are different levels of rasa. And within the incarnations, there are different levels of tattva. How much tattva is being manifested according to the nature of the incarnation. Just like how much tattva did Matsya exhibit? He simply took the Vedas and the 7 great sages and delivered them. There's no rasa and very little exhibition of tattva, just a tattva of expansion. But when you get to the tattva exhibited by Kapila Dev, he's explaining all Vedic knowledge. So the potential of any expansion or any incarnation is the same, but they only exhibit as much as needed for their particular pastime or their particular activity. Is that clear?
So largely what I could understand is that incarnation is more, they are bringing out the tattva of Krishna. Incarnations are in relation to material energy, and the expansions are in relation to the spiritual energy. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much, Maharaj, for your wonderful class.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to take so much time.
No, thank you so much, Maharaj. You're very fortunate. And sometimes these concepts of Vilasa, Prakash become so complex to understand.
Yeah.
And you have very beautifully explained it in simple words.
There's more. Tadatma, and all these. Within those categories, there's subcategories. So that's all explained by Rupa Goswami.
Again, thank you very much, Maharaj.
Goswami.
And we are very fortunate.
Ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hitai Gaur Premanandi.
His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj ki jai. So we are very fortunate to have the association and presence of Maharaj here. And we know that so Maharaj is having so many responsibilities. He is the Vice Chairman of GBC. And despite such engaging schedule, Maharaj has taken time to come to this small temple. So Maharaj, thank you very much. And again, welcome. I think for the first time, you're coming, Maharaj, here. Is it your first visit here, Maharaj, in the temple? Faridabad temple? You came here for the first time? Oh, yeah. So thank you very much again, Maharaj. Oh, really, Maharaj? Okay, again a very warm welcome and thank you to the Maharaj. Let us all chant one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly to do both the things. Thank you, Maharaj, and welcome, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Maharaj, by Krishna's arrangement, this temple is such a place that it is between Delhi and Vrindavan. So many times Vaishnavas, they go to Vrindavan, they stop over here. So whenever next you are planning to come here, please do visit us again. Thank you very much. Oh, Noida also. Yes, Maharaj. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj ji ki jai.